This today, sir. Rashida, just start.
Okay, ma'am.
Without wasting any time. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning to one and all present here. First and foremost, I wish you all a very happy International Women's Day. The Honorable Vice-Chancellor, sir, and the Chief Patron of National Webinar, Professor, the Honorable Vice-Chancellor and the Chief Patron of National Webinar, Professor Sanjay Singh, sir. The Chief Guest of National Webinar, Professor Rakesh, Chandra, Department of Philosophy, University of Lucknow. Our guest speaker, Professor Deepa Dwivedi, Department of Horticulture, SAST, and Chairperson of ICC, BBAU Lucknow. Guest speaker, Professor Venkatesh Dutta, Department of Environmental Science, School of Earth and Environmental Sciences, BBAU Lucknow. Professor R.P. Singh, sir, Director IQAC and Dean Academic Affairs, BBAU Lucknow. The Patron of Webinar, Professor Preeti Saxena, Director of CPGLS and Professor of Human Rights, School of Legal Studies, BBAU Lucknow. The Director of Webinar, Professor Preeti Misra, Head Department of Human Rights and Dean School of Legal Studies, BBAU Lucknow. The Convener of Webinar, Professor Shashi Kumar, Department of Human Rights, School of Legal Studies, BBAU. The Co-Organizing Secretaries of National Webinar, Dr. Ajay Singh Kushwaha and Dr. Rajshri Shrinkal, Assistant Professors, Department of Human Rights, School of Legal Studies, BBAU Lucknow. Dr. Vijay Bhaskar, Resource Person, Department of Human Rights, BBAU Lucknow. Deans and heads of various schools and different departments, respected faculty members of BBAU and different education institutions, research scholars, dear students, YouTube viewers, and participants across the nation. I, Rashida Athar, Assistant Professor, Department of Human Rights, BBAU, on my personal behalf and on behalf of Organizing Committee, welcome you all in this national webinar organized by Department of Human Rights, School of Legal Studies, BBAU, which is commencing today on 8 March 2022 on the theme on Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow, to commemorate International Women's Day, IWD 2022, for recognizing the contribution of women and girls around the world who are leading the charge on climate change, adaptation, mitigation, and response to build a more sustainable future for all. Because UN believes that advancing gender equality in the context of the climate crisis and disaster risk reduction is one of the greatest global challenges of the 21st century. So through this webinar, the learned academicians will hold discussions on the progress made towards achieving gender equality and women's empowerment, and will also explore the ways for achieving equal sustainable future for all. So now without taking much time, I invite Professor Preeti Misra, ma'am, Head Department of Human Rights and Dean School of Legal Studies, and the Director of National Webinar for presenting a formal welcome address and also for sharing her views on the theme. Ma'am, please, over to you.
Thank you so much, Rashida, for inviting me for the welcome address. A very, very good morning to all of you, and I wish you all a very, very happy International Women's Day. On behalf of the University Fraternity, on behalf of the Department of Human Rights, on behalf of the organizing committee of this national webinar, and on behalf of all the participants, I welcome you all to this national webinar on the theme, Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. As you all know that historically, climate change scientists, researchers, and policymakers have struggled with how to make the connection between gender equality and sustainability. And with various researchers, there are increasing evidence on the vital correlation between gender, social equity, and climate change. We do notice that climate change-induced disasters like flood, landslide, and drought disproportionately affect women and girls' lives and livelihoods. We do notice that climate change has affected adversely a lot of women because of the climate change that we are witnessing all these days. And this has happened because of the lack of the information, the lack of mobility, because women are not able to move much because of their household responsibilities and all, and because of their low participation in decision making and access to natural resources, especially their agricultural rights are still to be given to them, the right to the agricultural land. And because of the lack of training to this issue of gender equality, they are not able to do much so far as the gender equality is concerned and for the purpose of sustainability. And this is true because of the various gender-related culture norms and the barriers. And it is sure that without the gender equality, today a sustainable future cannot be ensured, and that will remain beyond our reach. And we all know that women possesses unique quality of perseverance, patience. She is having the natural instinct of so many kinds, and with her vast experience of her life with various kinds of life situations, and particularly what she is witnessing at the local level, especially in the areas of agriculture, conservation, and management of natural resources. This all can play a very, very vital role if the women are giving their due participation in addressing and mitigating and solving the climate crisis for ensuring the sustainability. So I can say this gender equality coupled with the climate crisis is one of the greatest challenges of our modern times. It poses a threat to various ways of life, to the livelihood, to the health, to the safety, to the security of women and girls, not only in India but around the world. So, with these little words, because we have our senior faculty, Professor Saxena Madam here, for deliberating on the theme of the webinar. So, as the organizing committee director, we have, or I thought of organizing this webinar with the aim to discuss how the climate change impacts women and girls, and why the gender equality is key to the climate action, and what measures can be suggested to support solutions for the women. And for this objective, we have invited Professor Rakesh Chandra sir from the Department of Philosophy, University of Lucknow. He is a well-known, renowned academician par excellence. He is a voracious reader. You will be knowing him through his lecture as chief guest to throw light on the philosophical foundations of gender equality in various aspects of life touching the sustainability. So, with deep sense of gratitude, I heartily welcome you to this national webinar. You have taken time out from your very, very busy schedule and for gracing this occasion. So, from the university fraternity, from the department, from all the participants, and from the organizing committee, I welcome you, I welcome you, sir, from the core of my heart to this national webinar. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And now I too have the pleasure of sharing that as guest speakers, we have with us today from our own university, Professor Deepa Dwivedi ji from the Department of Horticulture. She is also a chairperson of Internal Complaint Committee of the university, and Professor Venkatesh Dutta from the Department of Environmental Science. Both Professor Deepa and Professor Venkatesh have very, very vast practical experience. They have really worked on the ground, and I'm sure that their exposition on the theme would provide practical solutions on the issues concerning gender equality and sustainability. From the core of my heart, I personally thank both my colleagues and friends for honoring my words and sparing their time from their busy schedule for this particular seminar, because I know that this is a very, very important day and all the departments are having programs at their department level. So on behalf of the university, on behalf of the organizing committee, I welcome and thank Professor Deepa Dwivedi and Professor Venkatesh Dutta for joining this webinar. I would also like to welcome all the participants who have joined this national webinar, not from this university, but from other universities, all the students, all the researchers, or the stakeholders from the civil society organizations. I do welcome media persons also to this national webinar for giving the wide publicity to all the programs of the department and mobilizing us with their reporting. So once again, on behalf of this organizing committee as the director of the webinar, I welcome you all to this digital platform for discussing on the theme gender equality today and sustainability for tomorrow. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Now, because we have very, very constraint of time, so I am rushing through the thing. Now over to Rashida for carrying the proceeding further.
Thank you, ma'am, for presenting a formal welcome address to all those who are present here. And now I invite Professor Preeti Saxena, ma'am, the patron of National Webinar and the director of CPGLS, School of Legal Studies, BBAU, for introducing the theme of webinar and also for giving her inputs on the theme. Ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rashida. Very respected Professor Rakesh Chandra ji, the chief guest of this program. Professor Rana Pratap Singh ji, Dean Academic Affairs and Director IQAC, the president of this program. Our very own colleagues from the university, Professor Deepa and Professor Venkatesh Dutta, the guest of honors and guest speakers for today's program. Colleagues from the department and the university, students, guests, and very good morning to one and all present here, and happy International Women's Day. We are commemorating this day on a very important theme that is decided by the UN, that is gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. There is no doubt that the correlation between the women and the sustainability is wholesome and healthy. Women are basically recognized with their roles as being nurturers, as being comforters and caregivers, because of the maternal instincts which they owe inbuilt in the women. We know